Thank you. I'm looking forward to this discussion because I know that Saudi Arabia has just made dramatic changes in terms of what's happening, and this is all in keeping with Vision 2030. So you've turned this into the third pillar of Vision 2030. And Ahmed, I thought if I could, I would start with you. Why is this minerals and resources sector so important? Why is it part of the national strategy for Vision 2030?
Well, hello, Sara. Thank you very much for having me today. And congratulations on IMARC opening, reaching 10,000 attendees. Well, in Saudi Arabia, we've launched our Vision 2030 back in 2016. And mining sector was the heart of it. We were working to diversify our...
I'm sorry, we'll move to get that fixed. Allow you to keep... No, is that, do we know whose mic is giving us a challenge? Let me let you go ahead and speak again, Ahmed. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're fascinated in what you are saying and want to make sure we can hear you properly.
Absolutely. So in 2016, when we launched our Vision 2030, mining sector was the heart of the vision. We were looking to diversify our economy beyond oil and gas and petrochemicals. Mining is not only a fiscal play in the kingdom, is also a developmental play. We want to secure the needed raw material for our industrialization, to secure also for the giga projects in the kingdom. As you know, we're building large giga projects like Neom City, Al Qiddiya. We're also going to host the World Cup in 2034, as well as the Expo in 2030. All of those projects require a much high demand of the critical minerals and also from the kingdom. So we want to bridge the gap in the demand, supply the needed raw material to develop the local demand, as well as being a mining hub for the world to secure the needed supply chain sustainably and also reasonably for the entire globe. We've also launched the National Industrial Strategy, which was based on 12 main sectors, including aerospace, food industry, and all of those sectors are important for our diversification, and mining stays the main role to support the diversification and also being by 2030 as a third pillar of our national industries. We started in 2016 with around $12 billion contribution to GDP. Today, we can contribute more than $45 billion to the national GDP, and we're aiming to reach $64 billion by 2030.
The numbers are really quite staggering. Mineral deposits of, do I understand correctly, $2.5 trillion is what you estimate that you have. Is that right, Ahmed? Correct.
So we've estimated our value of resource in the kingdom reaches around $2.5 trillion. Around 70% of that is metallic, including phosphate, bauxite, while 35% is precious metal, base metal, as well as rare earth element and base metals.
So, David, you've had an opportunity to work in the Arabian Shield, but on the other side. Can you talk about what you know from your previous experience in mining and what made Saudi Arabia so attractive to you?
Yeah, the success that we've had really in Eritrea, Ethiopia, even really kind of on the prospecting side of Sudan, I think that's what made it so exciting when we saw what Saudi Arabia and how Saudi Arabia was opening up. And for us, that was something we knew that we needed to put together a team and start investigating this, because the projects on the other side, Bisha, Embedero, Debarwa, these projects are really extraordinary assets. VMS deposits is really what we focused on, so that's what we continue to focus on. Of course, it's not constrained right to there, but our expertise in that space has been remarkable, and the success in the terms of the sheer tonnage and the grade of the projects that have been successfully developed and turned into mines on that side, being able to really do that and invest and do that work in those same rocks, exact identical same rocks, but in Saudi Arabia, which of course provides a much better infrastructure and network to be able to participate in. That's what really got us very excited. And it was the impetus for making sure that we could access as soon as we possibly could.
Well, you talk about speed. Mohammed, I want to bring you into the conversation because this has been, as we would say in the United States, a full court press. Everybody is doing their part to make sure that more people come into Saudi Arabia and develop. What's ESNAD's role in this?
Thank you, Sara.
Do we have your microphone? We're going to bring a new microphone. Thank you so much. We're going to start with you with this, Mohammed. My apologies. Let's make sure.
Thank you.
Perfect. This is much better. Thank you. So
Well,
what is ESNAD's role?
Yes, the role of SNAD is to, empower the journey of the investor and make it easier, very smooth. So he will focus on his real job, which is the exploration and then the mining. What we do is we are trying to make the journey of the investors from the beginning of applying to the exploration license until mining, then all the compliance, let's say, journey for the investor, very smooth, very easy, and we are helping them to meet all the standards and helping them also to to introduce to them the latest technology that will help them also to conduct their work. One of the basic, let's say, investor attraction in Saudi Arabia and also one of the initiatives of Vision 2030 was to establish SNAD to make sure or to take care about all the operational things, starting from licensing to compliance and health and safety from the Ministry of Industrial and Natural Resources, and focus on, as I mentioned, making the customer journey experience very easy and very smooth.
How did you manage to make it so much faster? Because this is a much quicker process in Saudi Arabia than almost anywhere in the world, but you have international standards.
Exactly. Well, this is one of the attraction points for Saudi market. We work in cooperation, really, and hand in hand with the ministry to make the first steps for the investors very easy. We have we are using the latest technologies when it's come to the evaluation of the files of the investors and all the references that he will submit, plus the other things. And we also accelerate that by depending on the latest technology and benchmarks that we are referring to in our licensing process.
David, you've had the opportunity to work in the region. How would you say, from your perspective, it's worked? What have you noticed in terms of your process there?
I think it really has been this streamlining of this whole process. We have the benefit of picking up our projects not just through the bidding processes, which have been great and really prolific in a couple of different forms, but also applying for licenses ourselves. And what was really interesting about that process is that you end up going and pre-clearing through almost all the different stakeholders within the Saudi government. So you're not just saying, hey, I find this ground industry and I prospected it, I want to put down, stake a claim effectively here. Instead of just applying to the Ministry of Industry and Mineral Resources, you're also getting that pre-cleared by Ministry of Environment, by Ministry of Defense, by groups within the Water Authority. You're almost pre-clearing that project all the way through to that process of really when it may become a mine. Of course, it's just an exploration project at that stage. But to know that once you get to that point, you get that license, and you can proceed, if you have that success of a discovery, your ability to proceed from discovery to feasibility study to really development project is unimpeded by any of the many prolific aspects of other governments that really end up creating a roadmap that is impossible to feed. There's a straight roadmap of how you get from A to Z on this. And that is one of the most reassuring things you can be as an investor coming into a jurisdiction, is understanding really how you get from A to Z. Most places, it's a completely imperceivable map of how you're going to get there. You don't know how you're going to get there, but having the kingdom provide this type of certainty, it really takes a lot of that pressure off.
And do you want to suggest any particular jurisdictions that have made it harder? I'm not trying to call anybody out, but basically give us a compare and contrast.
Listen, I think if you take what a lot of people would consider the tier 1 jurisdictions like Canada or Australia, you don't have that same situation. You don't really know what the rules are going to be and if they're going to change sometime along the way. And that's one of the hardest things as an investor. As you put, exploration tends to take not that much capital, but it's a long process. So ensuring that there's hundreds of millions of dollars that you're investing into a project, that there actually is a finish line, and you know where that finish line is, that uncertainty is, I think, a real challenge for the whole part of the industry as we try to develop. But a place like Saudi Arabia allows you to really create those defined gates, which is that much easier for bringing investors together all the way to that final production date of your asset.
So one of the other things, Ahmed, that interests me about what you're doing in Saudi Arabia is there's exploration and there's searching for resources. But then downstream, what are you doing downstream in terms of processing plants? How has the kingdom explored that part of the equation?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned at the beginning, the sector aims to support the downstreaming. And I'm quoting from this morning the Honorable Chris, the Premier of New South Wales, when he mentioned that they're looking here in Australia for the partners, the right partners to support in developing. It's the same thing exactly in the Saudi. We're looking for the right partners to support us through the entire journey in downstreaming. So for example, we've built a very sustainable value chain of phosphate from mine all the way to fertilizers. Saudi Arabia today is the third producer of fertilizers globally. Aluminum as well, we produce around 1 million tons of aluminum. We supply it to, for example, BMW, Audi, and others, as we're the 10th largest producer of aluminum. We want to replicate that story of phosphate aluminum into other value chains like steel and copper. Today, we're talking to lots of partners to support us in the downstreaming process. The kingdom is blessed with its location as we are connected with 3 continents, as well as the energy. I mean, the kingdom has a very competitive pricing in terms of energy and the availability of power. We have around 42 industrial cities that includes the entire need of industrializations. For example, waste management, water, which is a global challenge, and we're part of the world. We're trying with our partners to increase the efficiency of water as well as electricity and power. So having all those ingredients together in the kingdom will support us being a mining hub and also continue our journey on phosphate aluminum all the way to copper and steel. We want to produce around 100,000 of aluminum sheets by 2027, and also for copper we want to be producing carbon cathodes in the kingdom through the refining copper within Saudi and Ras Al Khair and other industrial cities.
Ahmed, when you talk about the geography, it's a kind of a double win for the kingdom, isn't it? There's the resources underneath, and there's the 3 continents at that crossroads on the top. We've seen how that changed air travel, when all of a sudden there were these big hubs in the Middle East. How significant, can you tell us a little bit more about the advantages you see in terms of where you are on the map?
Absolutely, we're blessed to be in that location, and it supports us in connecting three continents together. As you know, we have the Future Minerals Forum in the Kingdom, and it's meant to be in Riyadh. However, it talks about the entire super region, all the way from Africa, Asia to Middle East. And in Saudi, we believe that we have the entire ingredients with our location to be a mining hub in the future, supporting securing the mineral supply chain in a reasonable and sustainable way as well. We have also, on top of the location, the incentives that we provide. So a lot of incentives are now provided in the Kingdom to ease the journey of investors. As David mentioned, for example, security of tenure at the first place. When you have your exploration license, you have your exclusive right to convert it to mining license within 90 days as our ultimate goal. Same thing also in the downstreaming, as we provide lots of incentives for manpower, also for smart factories. We want to move into AI and automated manufacturing. The ministry and the government provides lots of incentives for smart factories and also for automated manufacturing within the Kingdom. We have Seer, Lucid, as we just produced our AV car last year from Lucid. We're building a new lithium hydroxide plant in the Kingdom, and we're also taking more expansion in phosphate and aluminum. All of those together with the location gives us advantage to be a mining hub within the region.
So let me move to you, Mohammed. It's one thing, you're fast for the customer, but how do you do that internally? How have you gone so quickly within the Kingdom from a plan in 2014 or thereabouts to now executing on your goals? What did that take to do that? Countries find that hard.
Well, it takes a lot of hard work, actually. One of our initiatives really is to focus on the journey of the investor and to try to de-risk all the issues that he faces, so he can focus on the real work. And by building also a very strong, let's say, human resources and expertise inside ESNAD in the licensing process and compliance process. These things is really make things very easy for us, and we capitalized on the development of our teams. Not only that, also we are also focusing on the whole ecosystem. We are trying to be an added value for the whole ecosystems when it's come to the services, the service companies that investors need in the future to help them in the exploration phase or mining phase, or even in the compliance phase when it's come to compliance. So we are really focusing in the human capital when it's come to ESNAD as an organization, and the same thing on the ecosystem entirely. We are working on even doing partnerships with technology providers, new technologies in AI, drones, satellite imaging that may help the investors maybe to use them in the future. All these things make, let's say, a very sustainable ecosystem that can, even incentivize more the investors to come and work and, find opportunities to invest in Saudi Arabia.
As we're getting close to the end of our time, Ahmed, what do you envision is the priority for you for the next 3 years?
So if I look back and I see we started with only 6 exploration companies active in Saudi in 2017. Today, we have around 226 active exploration companies. And at that time, our exploration spending was around $20 per square kilometer. Today, we're on around $143 per square kilometer. And what we're looking for is turning all of those exploration deposits into producing mines in the next 3 years, attracting the right expertise to the kingdom with the right services, the right capabilities to move those sites into producing mine and strengthen the ecosystem that we built. We built ESNAD. We also supported the geological survey to do more geological programs, and all of those should de-risk the investor journey, attract more capability houses in order to have active producing mine to supply and being a mining hub within the region in the next 3 to 5 years.
And David, what's the next 3 years look like for you?
I think well, I'm hoping it involves a wonderful discovery, maybe more than one discovery, taking advantage of really all the tools that the kingdom has placed in our hands to be able to get that work done. To me, I think that's, I would be disappointed if we can't get to that point within this time and be able to demonstrate the type of world-class deposits that can be discovered in this jurisdiction.
And Mohammed, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'll give you the last word. Why Saudi Arabia? Why should companies and governments, why should people partner with Saudi Arabia?
Well, it's the right place to be, you know. We're in the middle of the world, and we are really incentivizing investment in Saudi Arabia. We have, all the infrastructure that makes the investment successful, technically and financially, and even from a human resource point of view. And any investor will get all the supports from a lot of parties in Saudi Arabia to make his investment successful.
Thank you very much. Well, I would like to now thank again our panelists, Mohammed Al-Jadah, Vice President, Corporate Strategy, Customer Experience, and Business Development at the Saudi Mining Services Company, or ESNAD. Also, Ahmed Al-Aqeel, General Manager of Exploration Development, Ministry of Industry and Mineral Resources for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And David Awram, Senior Executive Vice President, Sandstorm Global Royalties, and Chair of Saudi Discovery Company. Thank you all.